Can you stop that?
Stop what?
That.
This.
Yes.
Okay. It's ice cream.
Don't lick my mic. Jesus Christ. Oh, okay. No, no.
Did you hear
No, thank you.
Did you hear the
Yes.
tongue?
No. No.
I want that kind of put in. I
No.
don't want to
Do
know.
not do that ever again.
I won't, but I kind of want it in the episode. You realize now you're gonna be editing the video and you're like, what the fuck are they on about? Oh no, and then you'll hear it.
Yeah. Okay.
I did
like
not
that.
mean for that.
I did not like that. All right.
Is that some Silent Hill sound?
Yes, it is. That's probably why I don't like it. Jesus Christ. Warning. We are about to spoil The Big Heat. If you haven't seen the movie or plan on seeing it, then you should probably click away. But if you have already seen it, or you just don't care, then please continue to watch.
Dude, I feel so fucking tired right now. I think I need some coffee.
Oh, here, I have a nice pot ready. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Roulette. So, yeah, is this the first, classic movie? Is it the oldest movie we've seen so far in this show?
Yeah, I think this is the oldest movie and our first black and white movie.
Yeah, so it's the first kind of quote-unquote, I guess, classic era Hollywood film that we've seen. So,
I mean, we've seen classics before, but this is like golden age classic.
Yeah, from the 50s. So,
I think that counts as golden age, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was before New Wave, so like 50s, 60s.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, today we are reviewing
The Big Heat.
Yeah, The Big Heat. Yeah, so I think before I talk about this film, should I talk a little bit about Fritz Lang in general?
Yeah, because I know nothing about him.
Yeah.
This is also a movie neither of us have seen.
Yeah, neither of us had seen this before.
Obviously.
Which is interesting to me because I'm a huge Fritz Lang fan. Fritz Lang was a very, very, very famous German expressionist director. That's where he got kind of his roots. Because he made stuff in like the early 1900s. I think the first he made a big 2-part production called The Spiders in like 1919. And he had a very, very long career and very, very, very good career considering like he started, I think, in like around the time Birth of a Nation came out, and his last film I think was made in the early 60s. So yeah, he had a very distinct style, and he had done stuff before 1927, but when Destiny came out, that's when he found really his style. That has a very famous shot of, because it deals with, I guess, death and all that, and has like the Grim Reaper and all that in it. Yeah. And it's a more surreal film, but it has a very famous shot of like steps going up, and everything else around is black, but you just see like an archway around the steps. It's a very famous silent movie shot.
I'm trying to think if I know that shot, actually.
If I showed you, you probably would.
Probably.
But yeah, that's from Destiny. And then after that, he made what's considered one of the greatest silent films ever made, Metropolis. So, still a classic. I still love the shit out of that movie. If you watch Metropolis, definitely watch the complete Metropolis, quote unquote. It was released by Kino, I think, in 2012. Because the movie was heavily edited over the years to the point where it was basically unrecognizable, and they just recently found the quote-unquote complete edition.
Yeah.
It's interesting because there was a restoration done from existing elements where they basically filled in the missing parts with either text or with stills.
Yeah.
And the restoration, they did a hell of a job on it. It was apparently so exacting that for the most part, all they did, like they watched, because the Kino release was so huge because it was the first time that Fritz Lang's original editing pattern had been preserved. And it was apparently so exacting, they literally just had to take scenes from the remaster and just drop it in there, basically. So, and you'll see it widely varies in quality, but it's still really good. Then after that, he made a couple more silent films and transitioned into the sound era and made the very famous movie M, which I think it's considered a film noir-ish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the movies that kind of blurred the line between noir and German expressionism.
But it's one of the most famous, like, German expressionist films.
And, Long's films also, they had a habit of dealing with heavy topics. Like, obviously, Destiny was about death. Metropolis was about, I guess, how this corporations fuck over younger people. And
luckily, that would never happen now.
And M dealt with the lovely subject of trying to catch a serial killer who murders children. So, yeah.
You sure it wasn't an American film?
Right. Yeah, the villain was played by Peter Lorre, and you know Peter Lorre, right?
I know his name's Peter, and his last name is Lorre.
He's been parodied, and he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was a kind of a heavier set dude, had a very distinct bug-eyed face, and he would talk like this, Mr.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's Peter Lorre. He played the main character in that one. And then he made The Testament of Dr. Mabuse, another fantastic action thriller, and then he moved, after that, he moved to the States. And
because something weird was going on in Germany, but anyway.
And if you watch Testament of Dr. Mabuse, it has very heavy, like, anti-Nazi themes in it. Like, he never directly calls out the Nazis, but you can tell that the bad guys are clearly the Nazis.
It's not Nazis. It's totally Nazis.
Exactly. Yeah, and he made a couple movies, and he came over to America, and I know he made Fear You, which is remembered because it dealt with the topic of lynching in the South, and that's why people remembered it. But he really broke out with The Big Heat, because he had struggled to get, like, any, like, big recognition in America. And there was a movie he made before that, shortly before or shortly after, called Ministry of Fear, which you can take a wild guess what is another anti-Nazi film. So
you didn't let me guess.
Yeah, I actually liked Ministry of Fear a lot. It still had that very distinct Fritz Lang style. And this movie is very interesting to me because he has such a distinct style in his cinematography and editing and the way he does action scenes. Like, it stood out, especially in his early work. You can tell that, wow, this is so far ahead of its time. And this movie is fascinating because it was shot way more straightforward than his other movies.
Yeah, I was going to make a joke of, like, you're talking about all this style and stuff, and I didn't see much style put in here.
It was a very weird watch because it was shot very much like a regular mainstream noir. So...
Also, the reason I've been quiet this entire time is because the general decade and even the genre of noir, I've seen The Third Man. Yeah, okay, so that's the noirs I've seen.
Those are all the
I
noirs
guess Blade Runner's neo-noir.
Well, you've seen a couple neo-noirs, I think.
Yeah, I've seen neo-noirs. I haven't seen
But that was
noir.
the only classic noir
you
had seen, and that's a very high bar. So, I mean, Carol Reed, you can't go wrong with, so... Orson Welles?
Thank you. My brain just completely flatlined.
It's okay. But yeah, I've seen a lot more noirs than Justin. Like, I've seen all the classics, Maltese Falcon and all that. So
I have 3 of them in that cabinet. There's Maltese Falcon, The Big Sleep, and something else in there.
You said maybe The Big Heat even.
The what?
You said you might have owned The Big Heat. So
I confused it with The Big Sleep.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the Humphrey Bogart. But
yeah, it's like a whole Humphrey Bogart collection.
Oh, nice. But yeah, this was just an odd watch, and we'll give our thoughts on that later. But I think we should describe the plot first. Yeah.
Do you remember the characters' names?
The Detective Banyan was the main guy.
Sergeant
Banyan. I forget the rest of the characters though.
I mean, I can do a quick summary. I think.
Yeah. It's a pretty straightforward story.
Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward noir. So Sergeant Banyan is called up because a cop committed suicide, and the only reason given from his wife is he was depressed, basically.
He was dying or something.
Yeah, he was dying and depressed, and was like, okay, I'll fucking kill myself.
Because he said he was in a lot of pain, and it's implied it may have been cancer or something, but...
We never even find out if that's true.
No,
I think it's said that's a straight lie later. And he thinks it's a open and shut case, but then it won't. Femme fatale, who isn't a femme fatale, comes in and is like, yo, he totally didn't kill himself. And he's like, I'll hear you out. here's my reasoning. You're dumb. You clearly don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to go. And then the woman dies, which gets kind of curious.
Yeah, because it raises a bunch of red flags. It's like, of course, I talked to this woman once for a little bit, like the day after she's found dead.
Yeah, like in less than 24 hours, she's dead.
So you know something is going on here.
And he keeps digging. He gets a call, like threatening his family, because he has a wife and kid. They'll be fine. And he's like, "Oh, I know who's the corrupt asshole doing this."
Yep.
Goes to the person and then straight up threatens them. Who is what is he? He like runs a precinct, I think.
He's like this rich asshole who basically has everyone in his pocket.
Yeah,
like all the cops and the DA and everything. So
he has a bunch of goons.
Yeah, like he comes across as very like flamboyant, like almost Hugh Hefner type guy, but clearly he like everyone is in his pocket. So, and he has a very interesting voice because he talks like this.
Sonny.
Yeah.
I'm trying, cause it doesn't go. And
then
he threatens him.
Yeah.
But then they get payback by trying to kill him with a car bomb. But sadly, his wife goes in the car.
Yeah, his wife is in the car instead, blows up, and then he's kind of on this vengeful mission to find out what happened.
On what? Just why?
Mm-hmm.
And he gets fired off police force because police force is in the bad guy's pocket.
Yep.
And this isn't like ruining the mystery either. They kind of straight out tell you, yes, he did it. And he called out the hits.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah.
Also, one of the goons' wives kind of hangs out with the detective after he helps at a bar.
Yeah.
Because that was your phone.
Was it? It's on the other side, isn't it?
No, you put it down there. Anyway.
No, I put it over there.
Did you? Oh, you did.
I still heard the vibrate, so that's weird.
It's loud cushion. I don't know. Sorry
it's
about
a
that.
loud cushion. All right, sorry. Go on. I just found that funny.
Fucking one of the goons' wives tries to get sexy with the detective, but brings up the whole wife thing, and it's only been 10 days, so that doesn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sends her home, and he tries to lie like, "Oh, I just went to a night, like some sort of club or some sort of entertainment venue."
Mm-hmm.
And then the man throws hot coffee in the face because she's a liar.
Yeah, Lee Marvin is the name of the actor
Marvin,
who plays this really scummy henchman. And I know he was very famous for playing henchmen like that because he was this tall, very well built, intimidating guy.
Such a long face.
He did have very like long down waist face.
That is the first time I think I've seen someone been like, "Man, you have a long face."
Like literally, that's a long
looks
face.
Stretched.
Yeah,
but no offense to the man. Apologies.
Yeah, he was a great actor. I liked him.
Oh, he was great in this, honestly. But since she is now disfigured because it was boiling hot coffee in the face, she kind of joins up with the detective. They try to solve it a bit more, and then the main bad guy threatens his kid, basically.
Yeah.
Then he also figures out what went down of the wife now has blackmail towards the bad guy and is getting constant money.
Yeah.
But if she dies, all that stuff will get out and everyone will be arrested.
Yep, and that's why she kind of played it that way. Like, she has him under his thumb, and that's why they can't kill her. They can't do anything about it. So.
And, well, he talks to a hitman who tried to kill him and steals the hitman's gun.
Yep.
The hitman goes and dies because he snitched.
Oh, yeah, he snitched and he tried to run away, and then they killed him. So
off screen, but
well, still, yeah, they tell us how they killed him. So.
Yeah, and then put him at the bottom of the river.
Yep.
Sleeping with the fishes.
Yep.
Then the girlfriend of the goon basically kills everyone. Well, goes and kills the woman. Mm-hmm. The dead cop's wife.
So then the evidence gets sent out.
The evidence will get shot. Then she goes back home and throws hot coffee in her husband's face.
Yeah.
She gets shot. Detective Sergeant comes, kills. No, he didn't kill him, right? The goon. He didn't kill the final goon, right?
No, he didn't kill Lee Marvin. So.
Lee Marvin. I keep forgetting his name.
It's fine. But yeah, she.
Oh my god! How do I keep forgetting it? It's in Night Vale.
Is it?
Yeah, because for some reason, Lee Marvin is very celebrated in Night Vale and always has a 30th birthday.
That's awesome.
In the recent arc, I haven't listened to it yet, but there's like 3 episodes called Lee Marvin's 30th birthday.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because again, he was a very famous actor from the 50s and 60s. So
if you don't listen to Night Vale podcast, I highly recommend it.
Night Vale is fucking fantastic. Yes,
that's funny. But I'm surprised that only now just clicked in my fucking head. But yeah, Lee Marvin gets arrested. Everyone goes to jail. Girl dies, and the sergeant is reinstated as the sergeant and has new case. Movie ends.
Yeah, and it's not a typical noir ending, where like everyone dies and he's
or there's some tragedy that happens.
I mean, it is kind of a bittersweet ending because his wife is still dead and the girl that he helped is now dead too. But he's alive and he's reinstated in his job. So I mean,
his star will be fine.
Yeah. Won't be scarred at all from that long trip Mommy was on.
Oh, yeah, she's clearly 10 and heard the explosion of the car outside her bedroom, and he was like, I told her her mother went on a trip. It's like, that lie didn't work.
What, did you tell her she went to space on a rocket ship? The fuck?
Mommy couldn't go to space. I would like if that was her,
yeah.
You're lying. Mommy couldn't go to space.
I do like how you phrase it though. It's like she couldn't put together that car explosion plus no more mom equaled mom is probably dead.
Yeah, car explosion that shakes the house. Mommy is suddenly on a trip and we also don't have car.
Yeah.
Fucking dumbass 10-year-old.
But yeah, so that's a little synopsis of it.
Yeah, it's a quick summary.
Yeah, like I said, the first thing I will talk about, honestly, is the cinematography. It's very straightforward and very mainstream for the director, which was so interesting to watch.
There wasn't even much noir shadow.
No, there was a couple of Venetian blind shots like with her in the hotel room and a bit of lighting, but there wasn't anything harsh like that noir is very famous for.
Yeah, I was actually kind of happy when we took we paused the movie for a second. You were like, yeah, this isn't really interestingly shot. And I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy here.
No, yeah, because again, Fritz Lang had such a distinct visual style, and it's just, I don't know if he shot it that way because he felt it would better fit the story, or just because it's like, it's a more mainstream movie and he was still struggling to make a big break in America. So he went, I'll shoot it more mainstream. I don't know what the reasoning is, so...
Yeah, there wasn't much, I'm trying to think if there was a shot where I was like, oh, that's pretty neato.
Yeah. I mean, cinematography's still really nice.
Yeah, it was done fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just kind of bland.
Yeah.
Was there even much of a score in this movie?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the music was fine when it was there, but there were... I think... I don't know. Besides the opening, I actually don't remember there being a score.
I don't either.
I think it was silent for the most part, besides some background dancers
yeah, when it goes and
noise.
meets the one woman who says it wasn't a suicide.
Yeah.
A suicide. There was a band behind her for a bit.
I don't think there is a score in the rest of the film. Actually, come to think of it, or if there is, it's very, very subtle.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, is this a really odd movie? Is this our first it's fine sort of movie?
I think Vantage Point was the same way, but...
Well, Vantage Point still had fun moments.
Yeah.
Not saying this film didn't have... the coffee scene is actually... That's probably why on the cover there's the coffee pot and all that.
Because it's still to this day, that scene is pretty shocking.
Yeah, and actually later in the film when she finally tears off the...
I didn't think they'd actually show the burn, but no, she tears off, you see this really good makeup for the 50s.
Yeah, it was pretty good, Nightmare on Elm Street style.
Yeah.
Sort
Burns.
of fucked upness.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, they did show it. Again, I think that is probably why it sticks out in most people's minds. So
it's because of that brutality there.
Yeah, that brutality, and I guess it was a very run-of-the-mill... Maybe this was the Marvel films equivalent of the 50s. It was good.
Yeah, Again, I think it was just so what came out at the same time? That's also my question, but I'm not going to look it up
Also,
right
sorry for the background noise that's coming in very loudly.
We can pause for a second.
Okay. All right, and we're back.
If I remember where we were.
We took a pretty long intermission there. We talked about our plans for the today and whatnot. So,
yeah, we'll have another movie to watch, but we don't know yet. I wonder why.
Gee, but yeah, and like all the actors do a fine job too. Everyone's really good in the movie. So,
yeah, but also
like the characters are memorable. You know who they are. You don't ever get confused as like, oh, who's that or who's that. They're all very distinct.
They're distinct, but also I run into the thing of like, they were just noir characters.
Yeah.
Almost like, I'm trying to think here, like how to say it nicely, I guess. Because it's like, yeah, we knew who everyone was, but there's nothing that stands out about them. It's like, okay, here's the main character.
Yeah.
Here's the love interest.
Honestly, I think the most three-dimensional person was the main character.
Which is good. Usually you want that person to be 3D.
Yeah, because like he was a very likable person. Was it Glenn Ford? Check on the back of the case real quick. I think it was Glenn Ford who did it.
Glenn Ford, yep.
Yeah, he did a really good job as the Detective Banyan, or Sergeant Banyan, so...
Trying to think if there's anything else about the coffee. Well, actually, because it was the 50s, that's probably some of the most brutal shit you could put on film.
Yeah.
In America, at least.
In America. It was probably... Because, I mean, obviously, foreign films at the time had lots of violence, especially samurai ones from Japan.
Or sex.
Or
because
sex, yeah.
everywhere else knew how to have fun, but we had the Hays Code.
Yes, that was still, sadly, in effect at the time. So, again, a lot of the violence, obviously, like, isn't super realistic. Like, it does that 50s thing where they get shot and it's just,
You see some smoke.
Yeah, I see some smoke, and they go down, but there's like no blood. It's very clean. And even when she gets blown up in the car, he pulls her out dead, and she still looks fine. Like,
she looks completely fine, but he like uses his body to cover, so it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Or when she gets splashed at first, you clearly see her grabbing her face, and there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it.
But no, I am glad they actually did reveal the scars. I didn't think they'd have the balls, but no.
Yeah. Yeah, we were saying this. It was like, that's probably why it's memorable. It's just that would be so shocking to see.
Yeah.
Even nowadays, the scene's done pretty well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. So, and it's off screen, but again, it leaves a lot to the imagination when she first gets burned, and just her, like, him grabbing it and just hearing her screams. It's just like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Fucking, I was about to say something. Two-Face's origin is weird.
And you made the joke, too, about half and half.
Yeah. How would you like your coffee, miss? Half and
Because half her face is just...
Yeah. That's terrible.
It is.
Anyway. It's just... This one's even harder to talk about than other films because it was just so okay.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, and I'm just going to be very blunt here, it's overrated.
Oh,
I'm just going to be very blunt because it's not bad, but it is super overhyped.
Like,
if you look at the reviews online in Letterboxd, and like you can tell them about that, it's just
wasn't it on like Rotten Tomatoes? It was near 100%.
It was 100%.
It was well, okay. Again, this is some. I don't think many people know how Rotten
Careful not to bump the case, by the way. You bumped it with your elbow almost off the...
I don't think many people understand how Rotten Tomatoes works because everyone's like, 100%, that means it's a perfect movie. No, that just means all the reviews for it were positive.
Yeah.
And I think positive ranges from 6 to 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
But fucking on Letterboxd, there are people writing paragraphs talking about how this like has deep talks about corruption and the human spirit. I'm like, it was a normal noir, guys.
Yeah, they're like reading super deeply into this. And it's just
Which,
like...
if you get that out of the film, that's good. You know?
Yeah.
I'm happy you can find a deeper meaning in it. But I think that's a very much death of the author sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I think this was just supposed to kind of be, it's a good noir.
Yeah.
It was made so that way he could get his foot in the door in America.
Yeah. And the thing is, and the thing that really puts it in perspective for me is that if anyone has a reason to like super overhype this movie, it's me, because I fucking love Fritz Lang, all of the movies that I've seen from him have really stuck out in my mind as fantastic movies, and this is the first film of his that I've ever seen that was just okay.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to remember this much until I'm not going to really remember this film unless someone straight up says the name to me or until this episode comes out.
Yeah, because I mean, I'll remember the film. It's just I just scenes that stick out in my head are just
the coffee,
maybe a lot of the last action scenes, and the characters are still fresh in my mind at this point.
Also, the car explosion was funny to me.
Why?
Because it was just a big white flash.
Then like the set shook. Clearly.
Or the camera at least.
I thought that was well done.
I mean, for the time, yeah, it's well done. But since like, we're from the future, it's just kind of funny. It's like, remember when we had to do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that effect, honestly, that they didn't, because a lot of those explosion effects on cars have not aged well. Mm-hmm. So I think that was a smart way to do it, honestly. And then he came outside and the car was already on fire and shit. So.
Or another part that makes me laugh is how his house is clearly on a set, and the void in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, like you look out the windows and usually be like a city or another house. No, it's just black darkness, black outside. Yeah. Like it was clearly shot on a set, and you can tell with a lot of 50s films that when it was shot on a set because they never pan up to show the roof.
Oh, you can just see it. It's barely there.
Yeah,
it's barely at the top. Or some of the houses are just insanely tall.
Yes.
Okay, it was the dude's mansion, but still, like.
Yeah, I understand his mansion, but still, even the detective's house, the walls were pretty high. Uh-huh. Especially when it was empty, I noticed, wow, those walls are,
Yeah, was this normal for set design in the 50s? Because
kinda-ish. Because, I mean, usually films were a bit more creative with it, but this film is basically generic set design 101 for the 50s. It's basically how it should be done, but usually other films, added stuff in to try and vary it up.
Yeah.
Like more exteriors or something like that.
Because, like, a lot of the houses, I was like, man, you guys want, like, a potted plant or something?
Yeah, no.
Just liven things up here?
Basically, like, it's an example of how to do good set design in the 50s. Nothing special, nothing bad. It's just, that was set design. So...
It's just mediocre.
Yeah, it is. And again, it's interesting because The Third Man and even Citizen Kane, they had a lot more varied set design, and that was made all before this movie.
Oh, so, but you're being unfair because Citizen Kane is the best movie of all. I do need
Big Spoiler, another movie we both find very overrated.
I think that's actually a lot more common nowadays of going back and looking at Citizen Kane and being like, this is pretty.
Because the thing is, I think I like the movie more than you do because I
can respect the movie, especially for what it did for cinema, like all the technical feats and all that. Just as a movie by itself, it's fine.
Yeah. Because I still enjoy watching it every once in a while to appreciate it, but it's not a movie that I'd say, greatest movie ever made, #1, every poll.
No, that's Vertigo now.
Don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me started on Vertigo.
We're not gonna be friends with classic cinema crowd, are we?
No.
Sorry.
Because I know I've seen a lot more quote unquote classics than you have. So
yeah. I need to watch more.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, honestly, I don't think there's much else to really say about the movie.
Which makes me feel bad. I wonder if this is shorter than Taxi Driver.
Probably. We're at 37 minutes, but if you cut out like all the other stuff.
Wow, this will be our shortest episode. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to talk about because I feel kind of bad doing that short. Actually, if it is that short, and because I'm not coming up with anything, I'm going to say this now on the recording, Cameron. Future Cameron, you better be fucking listening. I don't care if it takes 2 weeks. You can release 2 episodes on one day. Because if this is that short...
Yeah, that's going to be a little anticlimactic. Like, really? We waited for that?
Yeah, just like 2 episodes. If it's just like 20 minutes, which is probably going to be... Cause I'm trying to think, honestly, here.
Yeah, for real, same. And it's like, you can draw these parallels with the corruption and all that, and like kind of...
But a lot of noirs talk about corruption.
They do, and like flipping the femme fatale on its head, but, I mean, it's a movie that was just good.
It wasn't even really, because I did see that in reviews, and we talked about this a bit. Is people saying like, "Oh, it flips femme fatales on its head." It doesn't really. It just fakes you out.
Yeah, it cleverly fakes you out. So I mean,
yeah, it's like, oh, this one, the woman who's like, it wasn't an actual suicide.
Yeah, oh, there's the femme fatale, dies in the next scene.
Dies off screen in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, but this is the femme fatale. No, she gets splashed in the face, and she was telling the truth.
It's interesting too, because like he does inadvertently cause the deaths of all the women around him. His wife, the girl who gets killed, the girl who gets disfigured.
I think his wife's death wasn't his fault. That was the fault of the shitty assassin.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, well, how was I supposed to know he wasn't going to use his own car? Yeah.
Who would? It was the 50s, so it's like, what do you mean women drive?
Yeah.
I can't even say that with a straight face.
No, there was a lot of stereotypical 50s noir speak in this one, which is always entertaining.
Oh, I just like hearing the word dames.
Dame, yeah, it's a dame.
Them dames.
That's why I like the title of the second Sin City, a dame to kill.
Did you see the second Sin City?
No, I didn't, but I heard it was really good, and
Did
no
you?
one fucking saw it. So I heard it didn't do well in theaters, but everyone who saw it said it was really good.
That's good, at least.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's time to spin the wheel if we have nothing else on this, really.
It's time to spin. We have 3 options left on the wheel. All films we've both seen.
Fight Club, John Dies at the End, and
World's End.
So let's see which one we get.
Let's go! Oh. John Dies at the end.
Yay!
I wanted that to be the last one.
I know. Well, we still have The World's End, so...
Don't cheat. Don't be a bastard, Wheel. Okay, John Dies at the end. We'll have definitely more to say on that one.
That's a great movie. So.
Next will be TV, whatever we're on, because I don't know at this point.
We're recording these all right back to back with each other, so we're going to be heavily thrown off with the TV wheel.
Yeah, I think if I did my math right, we're either still in Black Lagoon or we're on Hannibal Season 2.
Okay.
So.
But yeah, so thank you again, everybody, for listening to Cinema Roulette. Don't forget to tune in next time, and yeah, talk to you later.
Bye-bye.